The Barry Alvarez Show with your host, Matt LePay.
Welcome to the show. Another week, another overtime game for the Badgers, but this time the ending is disappointing for Wisconsin as Northwestern wins in double overtime, 47-44. The teams combined for more than 1,000 yards of offense. Michael Bennett carried the ball 48 times for 293 yards, but the Wildcats get out of Madison a three-point winner. And I guess, Barry, football games always boil down to a handful of plays, and you said it right after the game, the mistakes, which are very uncharacteristic of the Badgers, but the mistakes were costly yesterday.
You're right, Mac. We've been a team that protects the football, and I think we've had one turnover in 3 games, and then in all 3 phases. You know, offensively, we give them a touchdown. We give them one in special teams by fumbling a punt. And just a number of things. You know, defensively, give up big plays. So too many mistakes in a game like that.
All right, a lot of highlights to get to, so let's get started. Let's get to the first half of Saturday's game at Camp Randall.
In the first 3 games of the season, the Badgers were guilty of one turnover. In the opening minutes on Saturday, the Badgers gave one away when Nick Davis muffed this J.J. Standring punt. The Wildcats recovered at the Wisconsin 33-yard line, and 2 plays later, Northwestern made the Badgers pay. Zach Kustak calling his own number. This 28-yard dash gives the Wildcats an early 7-0 lead. The Badgers, though, had an answer with an impressive drive. Michael Bennett, who had another terrific day, gets loose for 25 yards down to the Wildcats' 20-yard line. It led to a Vitaly Pisetsky field goal. Later in the first quarter, the Badgers were on the move again. This time it was Brooks Bollinger using his legs. 34-yard scramble to the Wildcats' 16-yard line, and the Badgers were back in business. On the very next play, Bollinger gave way to Bennett. Got free around left end. The Badgers had the lead 9-7. The extra point was blocked. The first quarter ended with the Badgers up by 2. In the second quarter, it was a punting duel for a while, but the Badgers were able to get a scoring drive late in the first half. Bollinger finding Nick Davis for 12 yards here to the Wildcats' 31, and then going to the other side of the field for Davis, 11 more yards to the Wildcats' 14. And then for the second time this season, a Badger tight end caught a pass. Retzlaff down the sideline and into the end zone, and the Badgers were up by 9 points going into the locker room at halftime.
Barry, the statistics in terms of total yards were very close at the half, yet your defense only allows the 1 touchdown, and that was with the short field after the early turnover. So again, I guess we talk about this fairly often, but you're up 9. You feeling like you're in decent shape at the time?
Yeah, and actually our defense felt that as though they had made their adjustments at the half, and you know, had a pretty good feel for their offense and what was going on, but obviously that wasn't the case. Offensively, we felt that we could move the football.
And Michael Bennett was 20 carries at the half. He just continues to play phenomenal football for you.
He really does, and once we get him, he gets into the secondary, with his great speed, he can just outrun angles that people have.
All right, the Badgers are leading Northwestern 16-7 at the half. When we come back, we'll look at the second half plus overtime again as the Barry Alvarez Show continues. Badgers lead Northwestern 16-7, but it's a very busy second half of football, so let's get back to the highlights.
Third quarter started with some promise. Michael Bennett getting around Comrade Emmerich, good for 11 yards up to midfield, but a couple of plays later, the Badgers were guilty of their second turnover, and again it would prove costly. From the backside, Dwayne Missouri knocks the ball loose from Bollinger into the arms of linebacker Kevin Bentley. 50 yards later, and the Wildcats were right back in the game, down by just 2, 16-14. And the Badgers went to Bennett again, loose for 48 yards this time, down the sideline to the Wildcats' 32-yard line. 2 plays later, figuring Bennett could use a break, Bollinger went up top to Lee Evans, who made a nice adjustment on the ball. Touchdown reception for Evans was his first of the year, and the Badgers were up by 9 points again. After a Northwestern field goal, we move on to the fourth quarter. An important sequence of plays here. Bollinger on the scramble down to the 13-yard line, but a holding penalty pushed him back to the 23, and then a false start to the 28-yard line. Didn't appear to matter. Bollinger had Nick Davis wide open, but Davis could not haul in the pass. And after Vitaly Pisetsky missed a field goal, Northwestern was off the hook. And again, Northwestern was able to capitalize. A 69-yard touchdown run from Damian Anderson, which should be noted rushed for more than 1,100 yards a year ago and earned second-team All-Big Ten honors. proves why he is so highly thought of on Saturday. Badgers were down 1, but they went right back to their home run hitter. Michael Bennett on the option. Outraces the Northwestern defense. It's a 55-yard touchdown run. They get the 2-point conversion. The Badgers are up 31-24. Getting late now, Northwestern trying to get a drive to tie the game and perhaps send it into overtime. Kustok finds Damian Anderson for 17 yards, and a few plays later on 4th and 8 from the Badger 29. Kustok on the run finds a wide-open Derek Thompson, and the game is tied 31-all. In the final minute, Vitaly Pisetsky slams home a 47-yard field goal. 51 seconds left, Northwestern out of timeouts. Now with less than 10 seconds left, on a 3rd down and 10, Kustok finds Teddy Johnson at the 29-yard line, giving Tim Long this opportunity to send the game into overtime. He hits a career-long 46-yard field goal. And then by double overtime, Northwestern is able to finish the game. Damian Anderson, a 12-yard touchdown run, and in double overtime, the Wildcats upset Wisconsin 47-44.
You know, it's just a really deflating loss. I mean, it was back and forth, and really felt like we had them. And, they made one extra play that we didn't, and that's about all we can say. I mean, everyone's pretty down, but we'll bounce back.
Yeah, it's real disappointing. We wanted to come out and play great here against Northwestern. Get a little momentum into the Big Ten season. This is obviously devastating, not what we want. But like I said before, we just gotta take this in stride and bounce back.
Just put it behind us and look forward to playing a good Michigan team. You got to look forward to playing Michigan because they're Michigan, and anytime you can go into the big house and beat up on them, it's a good feeling.
Yeah, we had a lot of busts, and everyone saw it. They made big plays one after another, and it just can't happen on our defense, and it did. And all I can say is we're going to try to correct it, and we've fought back in the past, and we're just going to have to get it together and get better.
The only way to look at it is hey, we got to learn from it, move on, and get ready for next week. It's a long season, and I think guys understand that, and we have to just prepare for the next one.
And among the other things that went wrong for the Badgers on Saturday, Barry, just when it seemed as though you had your offensive line set. Now, you made your adjustments. Ben Johnson gets in the game, and then lo and behold, you lose Dave Costa, and this could be a season ender for him, or do you know yet?
I would guess, and it is a blow because Dave, he's been very durable. He's been a 3-year starter. This is his 4th year as a starter. He gave us the flexibility to move him to tackle. And as you said, just as we were solidifying our offensive line, I thought Ben Johnson did a nice job for his first start. And we end up having an injury to Dave, and I'm guessing it'll be season ending.
So Ben Johnson moves over to left tackle. Brian Lamont comes back in at right tackle. That's the way it worked yesterday, and that's how it'll work from here on out. A bit later, we'll talk with tight ends coach Tim Davis. But up next, how the Badgers managed to win 3 of their first 4 games despite playing shorthanded. A look at some of the early season standouts as the Barry Alvarez Show continues. Asked Brooks Bollinger whether there have been some positives to the team dealing with all the player suspensions. The quarterback responded with the old saying, that which doesn't kill us makes us stronger. Well, Wisconsin did make it through a very difficult 4-week stretch, winning 3 times, and they won those 3 games in large part by calling up the reserves.
In sports, the term radical realignment usually involves Major League Baseball, with talk about teams moving from one division or one league to another. For the Badger football team, realignment refers to the offensive line, where the shuffling created a spot for sophomore center Al Johnson. Line coach Jim Huber has said Johnson could start for several Big Ten teams. Now he is a starter and part of a line that continues to pave the way for a dangerous ground attack. Then there's Eddie Faulkner, one of the heroes in the overtime thriller against Cincinnati.
And off Faulkner, dancing left to the 15, breaks the tackle, to the 10, to the 5, ball game's over, touchdown Wisconsin, Eddie Faulkner from 16 yards out, and the Badgers win it in overtime.
It brought back memories of 1997 when he stepped in for an injured Ron Dane and rushed for 119 yards to help the Badgers beat the Iowa Hawkeyes. But perhaps the most unlikely hero of the first few weeks is Josh Hunt, a walk-on from Thiensville. It was Hunt who gave the Badgers their first big play of the season.
He slouches to the 20, Hunt across the 25, breaks a tackle to the 30, left side, Hunt to the 40, cuts inside to the 50, he's clear, Hunt to the 40, Hunt to the 30, 25, 20, he's to the 10,
Against Cincinnati, a good punt return helped set up Wisconsin's first touchdown. And his final return that day gave the Badgers good field position for their dramatic fourth-quarter scoring drive. It's been a unique beginning to the season, a stretch of adversity the Badgers would rather not repeat. That said, they survived it, which, as the saying goes, should only make them stronger.
Barry, you did survive that, and you have been through this situation before, losing a tough ball game, shorthanded or no, losing a tough ball game. You draw upon that. Your players, a lot of your guys have been through this. They know what it's like, and they know how to bounce back.
They do, and it's all about us, and that's what we emphasize. And we have specific things that we look for that determine whether you win or lose. And it's about eliminating mistakes, basically. And that's all you had to do is watch that game and see all the mistakes. And it's very unusual for us to do that, because the one thing that we've been able to do, and the reason we've been able to be successful, is we protect the football, we play smart football, and that certainly wasn't the case yesterday.
Yeah, Cincinnati and the Badgers both 3-1 now after 4. Cincinnati with Western and the Badgers now both 3-1 after 4 weeks of the season. We'll take a break in a few minutes. We'll talk about the Badgers' first trip to the Big House in Ann Arbor, but after this break, we'll visit with tight ends coach Tim Davis as the Barry Alvarez Show continues. Tim Davis was a graduate and volunteer assistant coach under Dave McClain. Now Tim's in his 4th year of his 2nd tour in Madison, working with the tight ends. In the McClain era, Davis helped coach players such as Paul Gruber, who recently retired after a successful NFL career with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. As the tight ends coach, Tim has 3 veterans in Dave Retzlaff, John Sigmund, and Mark Anelli. He also recruited Big Ten Freshman of the Year, Brooks Bollinger. Tim joins us now. I guess this is our version of the jumbo package. We have a lot of big guys here at the table. On the far side is Dave Retzlaff. To Dave's left is John Sigmund, and of course, Coach Davis right here. Dave, got your first TD catch of the year yesterday. Take us through that. Tight ends here are blockers first and foremost. Badger fans know, but soft hands and a nice job of tie rope in the sideline yesterday. Take us through the play.
Thanks. It was a play action pass. I saw the linebacker walk up the line of scrimmage. I knew he was coming, so I knew that if I got a little hit on the end, got out on the flat, that I'd be open. So I stepped off, gave a little hit, ran out to the flat and caught the ball, and kind of expected a hit right away. It didn't come. Turned around and saw there was absolutely no one there. I think it was Lee Evans throw a nice block down the field, so just kind of walked in.
Tight ends don't catch a lot of passes, but when you catch them, they're big plays. Dave or John, you know what that's about. And go back to the Rose Bowl. I guess if you're looking for a thrill for your career so far, your performance in the Rose Bowl would probably rank right up there, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it was quite a thrill, me being injured, going through and then finally coming back, making 2 key plays and, for the win. It was a great feeling, and we're called linemen with wings, and our job is to block first, but when the balls come, we'll make the plays.
Tim, these 2 guys, you're looking for more out of them, become more complete players. They're certainly good blockers. Is Mark Anelli, who's the one veteran tight end not here, I think he was on the show last year, but is he probably the best receiver just in terms of his natural gifts of the tight ends you have?
Well, that's what he had when he came into the program, and then obviously he had to learn to run block, as it came along. So Mark's come the farthest, I believe, and as far as being a complete player. We use him a lot as a motion guy. He blocks on the end and also, goes out and routes. He's a little lighter. He's the midget in the group. So, he can go ahead and run down the field. He's done a great job.
Has the blocking from the tight end position been even more important here these first few games because of the shuffling that you've had to do on the offensive line, putting young guys in at the tackle positions, or has it just been business as usual?
Business as usual, no question. I mean, the first thing, we were just going over the old days when the tight end had 96 catches in his career, and we were wafting, about that in the past, but. No, you got to be a tight end. You got to be a blocker first. That's what we do, and that's how we do it. And of course, as you said before in the Rose Bowl, I mean, when the ball comes, you got to catch it.
Guys, I want a question for both of you. You guys have been through this. We talked about this with Coach Alvarez a couple minutes ago. Difficult losses and bouncing back. Do you draw upon how you reacted even a year ago after the Cincinnati and Michigan games can help get you through this and play a solid game at Michigan this week?
Yeah, I mean, I think the experiences from last year, especially coming back from those 2 losses, I think they're really going to help us. I mean, especially the older guys, really, they know how to bounce back, and we know that it's all about attitude, all about staying positive and coming back on Tuesday when we start practice up again and coming out and playing hard. And so, I mean, I think this team's going to be just fine because, you know, we did it before and, you know, we know how to bounce back, and I think we're going to be all right.
John, same question for you. I suppose this Saturday can't get here fast enough. You guys are eager to get back on the field.
Yeah, you know, we'll get rid of the film today. You know, learn by our mistakes, and you know, look forward to Michigan. You know, we just, you know, like we said last year, we've been through it, and we know we've got a veteran group back, and you know, guys know how to win here, and you know, we're going to look forward to playing on Saturday.
All right, gentlemen, thanks for coming out here today. Good luck this week in Ann Arbor. A trip to the Big House is coming up next. After this break, we'll talk about the game with the Michigan Wolverines as the Barry Alvarez Show continues. Saturday in Ann Arbor, another early start time kickoff set for 11 o'clock Central Time. I guess the good news, Barry, is you're going to play a team that doesn't spread everybody out, doesn't have 5 receivers, no huddle and all that. Now, I guess the not so good news is a very gifted team again. Great come-from-behind victory. Anthony Thomas seems to really be running the ball well.
Yeah, I had a chance to see that game, and he did play well, and it seems as though his season has been very good. We know how talented they are, and it's always fun to play in front of a big crowd like that, and it'll be a big football game. But I'm anxious to see our kids bounce back, and it's important that we correct our mistakes and play better.
Very quickly, Drew Henson seems to give Michigan just a little more athleticism at the quarterback position now.
Well, and he's a veteran. He's been around, and you know, Navarre did a nice job for him as a redshirt freshman, stepping in and filling in for him. But Henson's the guy, and he did a great job last night bringing them from behind.
All right, good luck this week in Ann Arbor. That does it for this week's show. Join us next time when we review the Michigan game and look ahead to the following game against Ohio State. Thanks for watching.
The Barry Alvarez Show is sponsored by Robert W. Baird & Company, Charter Communications, Cops Corporation of Stevens Point, Fiduciary Management Incorporated, Fun Jet Vacations, General Casualty Insurance Company, The Gordon Flesh Company, Kennedy Hahn TV and Appliance, M&I Banks, MCP Corporation, Mendota Gridiron Club, Miller Lite and Miller Genuine Draft Beer, Top Promotions, Wisconsin Electric and Wisconsin Gas, Wisconsin Energy Companies, and the Wisconsin Cable Communications Association.